Hello, hello, I sing to you, to you, to you, to you. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. We are still alive, and today we're back. Oh, I should mention, if this is the first time you've ever seen this video, because we are actually doing this for YouTube and the other podcasting locations. My name is Katherine, and I have a guest with me today, which is Ben, my husband, and together we have 10 kids, hence the name of the podcast, which is...
10 Kids No Sweat.
That's just me making sure he's still awake. And I thought, kind of as a surprise for you, Ben, I haven't spoken to you about this, that considering the last time we were here in this room, slightly different orientation, it was around Christmas time. And we said we'd be back.
And we haven't been.
So, in honor of that, I have decided to dazzle you today with my Christmas shirt.
Wow.
Have you seen this before?
No.
No, so you're genuinely surprised.
I'm genuinely something.
So, yeah. And to get back into things, I thought because I have my own YouTube channel where I am continually videoing myself and looking at my face and editing, I'm probably the more comfortable.
I can't believe you hid that under that for all this time.
I crossed it to here. That I'd kind of be the host in a way until we can generate good conversation.
Good content.
So I made notes.
So it's going to suck.
So I had...
Until we...
So I had intro, and then in case Ben looked at my notes, it said remove DG, which was code for dressing gown, in case I forgot. See? This is how organized I am. And I guess the real question is, where have we been for the last 7 months?
Slacking off. Well, not me.
So near the end of last year, Ben found himself spending quite a number of months at home with us, which honestly were like the best months ever. Because don't play with the mic.
I'm sorry.
Because having him at home is good times. So we need to get as many of you as possible to subscribe.
So I can be home all the time.
Watch our videos on repeat. Give it thumbs ups, thumbs downs, shares, likes, we don't care, comments, insults, doesn't matter. And we build our empire.
Yes.
And if you think the quality of this is very budget, the only way it's going to get any better.
It's because, yes, it is very budget.
What?
Nothing. Of course not.
So, you're not going to spend the whole time slurping your coffee and moving your mic
I'm waiting for a question.
and insulting. I asked you, where have we been for the last 7 months?
Oh,
What have you been up
here.
to?
Well, I built a tree house in the backyard for the children and myself and Katherine. And we've enjoyed many a coffee up there until the weather went bad. And now the tree that the treehouse is in is completely naked.
Yes, and because we like to be up there completely naked,
We need some privacy,
We
otherwise the neighbours can...
they get jealous. Their haters gonna hate.
They hate us because they ain't us.
And you have since started a new job.
Yes.
Which is the first time in our entire marriage and parenting journey that you have not worked shift work.
Yes, it's a day shift job. And it's mostly driving around in a van. Which is good. Because I'm getting old. And less physical. What?
He always says he's old, and I'm just like, no, we're still young and fresh. Mind you, I'm freezing cold in this t-shirt, and I'm torn. I mean, I planned ahead. I brought a hoodie.
We'll put the dressing gown back on.
The robe.
The dressing gown.
And part of this podcast thing isn't just...
And it doesn't have to be in this room either. We could do a cooking show, which I'm sure we'd be extraordinary at. We've done live cooking streams on Facebook. Remember that?
I think that's in the suppressed files.
Jason remembered it. He told me the other night. He watched the whole thing. He said it was great.
Oh my goodness. Love you, Jason. Thanks.
#1 fan.
And just to mention my other channel again, I really latched onto this idea, which is revolutionary, and I don't know if many of you realize this, but we only have one life. One shot at life. And I had spent much of my life kind of like thinking of ideas and then talking myself out of it and not really going with things, and excuses. Pathetic excuses. Fear. So now we can do a podcast and look enthralled and live our best lives. And not be jerks.
Exactly.
Now, my show notes went to sleep.
Why is it so dark?
Well, for privacy.
Oh.
I have notable things in the last 7 months. Can you rustle up any dusty memories over the last 7 months, or
About?
happenings in the world, the community, your own life?
COVID?
We now have that nice little banner across the bottom of the screen.
Will that do it? We can edit that out.
Nah, just be your true self. You can elaborate. This is our podcast. You can talk about anything you want.
I got fired because I wouldn't take the jab.
You cannot say that.
Well, you're going to edit that out?
Edit you out. Well, it kind of was one of those things. I think you were very, very early on.
I think like a lot of people during COVID that lost their jobs, they realised that working sucks. And I was on a rotating shift, so working really sucked. Like mentally. Not like...
You always had a very positive outlook.
Yeah, not like I was beaten down mentally. It was more...
You were fatigued.
Fatigue, yeah. Tired.
And in a fairly toxic environment, there weren't many things that made him think, you know, I'm tired, shift work's brutal, but gee, this place is life-giving.
No.
We can listen to radios.
No, you don't let to listen to radios.
You
couldn't have an earbud in your ear.
Very loud environment as well. And I would say every time I rang you was loud. And very long stretches of once the machine was set up and going. We're talking many, many, many hours.
Yeah, you had nothing to do.
Of nothing to do.
I mean, you kept an eye on levels and stuff. But
you weren't allowed to even read a book.
No.
No reading
magazines,
books.
no books.
And because you are not a smoker, you would do things to keep yourself busy. You'd sweep your area and make sure it was tidy because that was a favour to you.
I like sweeping. It's weird, I know, but I enjoy it.
It's obviously an at-work only activity that he does. And you always were trying to, well, be yourself, but you wanted to be a bright spot for people's lives. Yeah. You had a lot of compassion for workers that didn't have the happy life, wife, children.
There's a lot of depressed people out there. And for whatever reason, like it could be their own fault, it could be, you know, not their fault at all, but there's a lot of people out there struggling and I'm not in that regard. So, I like to share my brightness.
And Ben is always a joy to be around. And it's just seriously because he's chill. He's content with his life. So me, because I can be a bit more wish-washy, where if I was severely overweight, I might be depressed about that. Whereas well, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm doing the Beat Saber. It's like day 5. And I started so strong. Well, actually, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I didn't even wear my workout gear today. I just wore my clothes and my slippers.
It's the thought.
It's the act sometimes to build up. Oh, my arms hurt from when I crawled under the house.
Your arms?
And my stomach is bruised from crawling on top of the asbestos sheeting under the house.
No, I've been putting in retaining walls. Mate.
And don't forget, you're really old.
Correct. I'm 42. Let's share our ages, shall we? Let's share our age.
I'm 22.
Plus 20.
I'm 22 forever. And actually...
No, you're actually 41.
It was funny the other day because Ben's recently celebrated a birthday, and Beth, who's 5, came up to me and said, "How old is Daddy?" And I said, "He's 40, turning 42. And then she said, "And how old are you?" And without even a hesitation, even though I despise lying, I said 22. And she looked at me and went, "Is that a 4 and a 1? And I said,
yes. It is.
I said, yes. But yeah, that's just really, it's a joke, but I honestly don't feel old. And I wonder if that's because I refuse to admit that I've wasted most of my life and that I'm like, do-over.
I've noticed, like, I don't feel old, my soul within me. Because there is no age there, of course. But I feel, as far as the soul goes, I feel wiser than I used to be. I have more knowledge and information, obviously. Hey! Hey! I wasn't even praising myself. It's just a fact. If you're 42, you have more information than when you were 22.
I know. It wasn't a burp, but I was swallowing down and this air ripple came up.
We all heard what you said in that moment, loud and clear. But physically, like, I'll feel wrecked at the end of the day, but when I get up
that way.
When I get up in the morning, I feel okay again. But then at the end of the day, I'm wrecked again. And I can imagine that getting not so bounce-backy as I get older from here. Do you know what I mean? So I'll wake up feeling wrecked the older I get. And then I'll just...
use it or lose it.
There is that, yes.
So I think the main...
But I'm totally using it, so...
Yeah. But...
I think it's just an age thing.
I don't know.
Well, it's diet as well. I don't eat the best.
You have
You should be coughing there.
You have dramatically improved thanks to me, because I make your lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's still very quick to dive through the drive-thru of McDonald's.
It's the drinks. It's the lattes. It's the mochaccino.
I made the decision. Why does it say we only have 4 more minutes of video?
Is that battery or memory card?
It's memory card.
Well, let's hurry up.
No. We're going to have to whack another card in.
Okay.
Promise?
Okay.
I made the decision for myself, and then because we've been married for 18 years, it includes Ben, that as of tomorrow, we're commencing 1 month of no spend. So that's no sliding into home base of Macca's anymore. It's no caramel frappuccino homo drinks.
What?
I mean, and hey, if we come back, say, monthly for the podcast, he will probably,
Probably.
he will probably be a shadow of his former self.
You mean weight loss?
Yeah, because you're a sure hound.
I know not.
I'll cut you down to 1 12-pack of chocolate mousses a week.
Of which you speak. Not the moose!
Anything but the moose. But as I weirdly have this personality where I seem to be all or nothing, I am semi trying to pace myself. So I'm not going to be doing like meatless meals. I'm not going to be trying to have the cheapest of everything and punish ourselves and no chocolate mousse. I'm just trying to connect a bit more with that. It's not like impulse buying.
It becomes a habit.
The unplanned spending, I guess. Because a few years ago, found out about Dave Ramsey. And I really wanted to do the cash envelope system to show, particularly Ben,
where
the money goes. So if you've got $100 in your envelope and it's suddenly gone, then that really makes you go, wow, it's only 1 a.m. on the first day. I've spent my money. You were really against that. You hated that so much. Because immediately he was like, we have no money. There's no money. Because
Well, I was against all budgeting, if you remember. So I had a float system going. Remember that? And as much as we were surviving, it wasn't really a good system. But then we put a budget together. We actually worked out how much money we needed for all the bills. And we, remember we did all the calculations and I set up automatic transfers for different things.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
We did.
We never don't have money for the bill when it comes now.
Yeah, there was a bit of tweaking. I think initially we kind of went too aggressive, and it really was. That float system was ginormous, unnecessarily.
The idea was okay, it's just, it doesn't work.
Now we have to switch cards.
Is it dead?
Yeah.
It's still recording.
It's 1 minute.
Oh, you panic?
Yeah.
We can line it up.
Alright, we've changed our SD card and we are now filled with prayers.
Memory.
That were good. And we'll just continue with our budgeting thing. So,
yep.
Part of the reason why I thought this no spend is because I love thrifting. And the realization that if you go thrifting or if you peruse on Marketplace or go on Amazon or anywhere,
I peruse.
You will find stuff.
Yeah.
You will.
And you'll spend the money. But we were trying to get you to actually on-sell stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like I came up with the idea, like you spend $50 a month, and the idea is to make more than $50 back in the month. That's like the first goal. See if you can actually do it.
And I bought the stuff, and I did a video on what I bought, and I maybe sold one thing, but then I just very much got in my head of like, that noise was in my head. So my plan, but I've only thought about this last few days because I have logged off of Facebook. I haven't missed it one single time.
Yeah, once you're out of it, it's...
But Marketplace, like that's what kills me. So maybe this is an apology in advance. I do actually plan on coming back on Facebook to sell.
Yeah.
And that's where very much self-control comes into play. Because if I have enough self-control or enough disinterest in the feed, I will go to Marketplace. It's so easy. The fact that you can get your phone,
Well, you just go on there when
take
you want to sell
photos
something.
of things, go on Marketplace, type in the info, and hit go. It's infinitely easier than other ideas that people have. Like, you take photos and you plug it into your computer and you type it on the typewriter. No.
Yeah. And there's no fees. You just plonk it on.
And I have been very successful. I have like 111 people that follow me
On Facebook.
They follow my Marketplace ads.
Because you're funny.
Because I'm funny. And I've been thinking about this. I'm like, first I went off Facebook because it just such a time suck for me. And I think I just really wanted like clarity of mind a little bit more, making my own decisions about things. And I wasn't realizing how impacted I was by other people's opinions on what color to paint a room, or if my quilt was nice enough, I'd have to post a photo in order to get somebody to say it's nice.
You should sell so many quilts.
And as I've grown and developed over these last few months, I'm starting to think I'm meant to be here because I'm here. Full stop. I don't need a human to tell me I'm meant to be here, or another person to say, you're great. I love words of affirmation. I repeat, I love words of affirmation that are genuine.
It's a lovely
robe
outfit you're wearing.
But yeah, once, like you said, once you're out of it, you don't miss it like at all.
No.
But I miss the banter and the jokes.
It's like those people that like lose their phone
on
a camping trip and they got to survive without a phone for a couple of days.
Like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh. Is he like number one position and we're like two as far as podcasts go?
Yeah, something like that. We might be slightly, but no.
You do have the initial panic in the beginning.
You have the initial panic, but in a few hours you wonder if you ever want it back. Because the phone is a huge temptation for anyone. It's a dopamine machine.
Yeah, and I've just recently found out that people who aren't, I think it's called neurotypical. So that's like the ADHDs and autistic, and I'm not an expert, but I know my brain is different to a lot of people's brains. My best example that I could give people that I have like ADHD tendencies was one day my daughter asked me to come down to this room to our pantry storage because we needed more Ziploc bags. And I came back, she tells me 20 minutes later. And I walked in the back door and she looked at me and went, there wasn't any? And my face was complete confusion. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, you went downstairs for Ziploc bags. And I was so amazed. And she's looking at me going, where were you? What were you doing? And I said, I swept the laundry and I checked the mailbox. And she's like, did you even think of the Ziploc bags? Nope. I went down there and thought, why am I here?
I'll go to the fridge sometimes and be like, what am I doing?
Yeah, but come on.
It's the same thing.
Okay, well, he's also...
That's just getting old.
It's not getting old.
You're old.
But...
like a worn-out boot.
People who struggle with the dopamine thing that you spoke about, I actually think
it's
that...
It's not those people, it's everybody.
Yeah, but there's some people that might go shopping, shopaholics, or...
Well, like adrenaline junkies, same thing.
Yeah. So I'm probably more reserved. I'm not that much of a thrill seeker type person. You're more cautious than me. I'm more...
Well, I mean in the dopamine sense. It's the same kick.
But yeah, it's like... if you go on your phone like or a device, just before bed or when you wake up, and you actually think about your brain, you can feel it going ping.
Oh, well, let's all try to remember back. Let's do a little memory experiment. Remember back when phones sucked, like the Motorola's. We had the N95s. You remember them?
I love that phone.
Yeah, but you wouldn't now. It sucks now. But it was a cool phone. Anyway, remember back when you first used a touchscreen that actually worked? Like really nice. Like an iPhone 3 or whatever it was.
The HTC.
Just that. Just the experience of a touchscreen that swipes real smooth, and when you touch something, it works. It's not like a every time.
Mm.
Just that. Just operating a crafted, beautiful thing has its own hit of dopamine or whatever. But add to that the addictive nature of social media.
And why do we get so angry?
Like people like Elon talk about us being cyborgs already because we have phones, and the majority of our life is in our phone, and we can't go on a trip without our phone and our sat nav. We can't go to work because all the work apps are on your phone.
But we get so angry when it doesn't work.
We're already cyborgs.
Because of the addiction.
Because we're so attached to this device. We can't live without it now.
I've been doing experiments on people lately without their consent. And that includes when, like, my girls go to this girls' club, right? And everything's online. They don't want paper forms anymore. It's all online. I despise it. Like, I hate that online system because it's so irritating. You have to log on. It's way more trouble than just giving me a piece of paper and I fill it out. Or, imagine this as an idea. Talking to people. No. Actually talking face to face. Like, are you coming on Thursday? Yes. Tick. See you then. Think when I actually said, I'm not doing it anymore, people were shocked. Shocked that I wasn't going to do it anymore. But I got my printed out piece of paper on Thursday.
Think of all the social problems we live with today. They all kicked in when we all got on phones.
You know, one thing I thought of.
It's changed us.
Do you remember how this is the thing with Facebook, right? If you're not Facebook friends with each other, say you're not Facebook friends with your neighbor, but you need to message them. You look them up, and you can, if their settings are set to this, you can send them a message. But because you're not Facebook friends, it goes into the others folder or message requests. So many people have no idea what a little red dot down the corner means, so they never see this folder full of messages. And even if you are Facebook friends, if you've never messaged before, your first message often will go into that folder. Mm-hmm. You discovered 5 years after the fact that you had been invited to a birthday party. It was a bit late. And I realized that since you never showed up to that party, you never had contact from that person again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry, friend.
Which that's the whole keeping score thing, I think.
Well.
And people want the easy option of just super easy. Mm. And then you might think that you missed out on something or that someone's not friends with you anymore, but any amount of things could have taken place. So much trouble is created when you're only communicating through two devices. And you're not actually... It's like a marriage. If you don't sit and have a coffee and chat with each other, ship's in the night.
I ran out. Well, yeah, especially this day and age, when generally one household has 2 full-time workers in it.
And they don't even know what each other is doing. And they don't even know who's doing what with the kids. Who's picking them up.
Remember in Castaway, before he gets cast away, he gets together with his missus and they both open their... What do you call them?
Clamshells. Passports. Wallets. Presents.
The book you write all your dates in.
A PDA.
No,
Filofax.
No, like a...
Planner.
Thank you. They both open their...
We got there in the end.
PDA, what's that?
Personal electronic advice.
They both open their organisers and like, oh no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. No. That was back in the 90s when 2 people were busy.
And she went and married the dentist guy.
Oh yeah, the dentist. Yeah. Well, what was she supposed to do? He was dead.
Wait. You know in your heart if the person's dead or not.
And she even said that. I knew you were alive.
So
everybody
she cheated
said I
on
was
him.
crazy.
Yes.
And they kissed in the rain. It was fine.
And then she's having it's now a double affair. First an affair on Tom and then an affair on Dick. Whatever his name was.
His name wasn't Dick. You just want to swear on the podcast. It's Ruth.
Yeah, so back then.
Back then that wasn't the norm though, I don't think. The norm, maybe in the 90s, it was getting there though. Because even the 80s was like, woo, you gotta hustle.
I think it's very important, in a non-selfish way, to assess yourself. To think about your own motives and your own way of being. Because I know for me, a big part of me being on social media so much was a form of loneliness. It's like I can't physically see people. At least I can chat on the internet. So my first internet-y experience was ICQ chat.
Was it like an email thing?
And it was like a live chat, so it was like a little text box. Hi, how are you? Send pics. But you couldn't send pics. I don't know why I said that.
So to bring in another Tom Hanks movie, You've Got Mail.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah, but you know how they were messaging each other? And then they were doing like emails back and forth, but then it was like, I'm here now. And it was like, oh, it's a live chat.
Yes.
Do you remember the first live chats? It's like amazing. I remember when messaging came to phones and we were all like, what are you going to do with a message? And then we all messaged each other and we were like, this is so much better than calling. This is so much better than anything else. Do you remember that?
At the risk of...
Your thumbs were blurs.
At risk
I remember that when the physical buttons, phones, she was...
bringing up bad memories. During the lockdowns, which this could make our 16 subscribers drop to 0, I was very wise to what was happening very early on.
Do you remember...
Let me finish my thought. And they brought in this Zoom call thing. And there was a very, very small percentage of people who knew about Zoom. Zoom wasn't a thing that was just invented during the pandemic. It was utilized more then. But what really bothered me was how readily...
We've done FaceTime. Same sort of thing.
Well, yeah, but people so readily accepted this Zoom thing
Skype.
And tried to pass it off as the same.
As messaging.
As face-to-face.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
The same as face-to-face. And it blew my mind that, I mean, I could understand for businesses, totally.
Well, that's how it got big. Conference calls were never Zoom calls.
And people are resilient and people make the best of it. And I have seen videos of people doing like wine tastings, lots of very fun things. But just the idea, I guess, that...
We could do wine tastings.
it was forced upon us and then tried to be painted as like this amazing thing. And I'm sorry, pretty early on I was like, I ain't doing Zoom. Or if I do Zoom, it ain't going to be this face. It's going to be like Hawaii scene. And you're going to be muted half the... No, I'm going to mute myself half the time.
Well, the whole Zoom thing got a bad name during lockdowns as well. Because it was, doing school at home and crap. Terrible.
But you look back, I never knew the decision we made all those years ago to homeschool was the greatest blessing. Because in that respect, life
never really affected us.
Kept sailing along. We got a much better perspective on what really matters in life. A far greater realization that we're not meant to be here to just tick off boxes.
Yes. Business is not the meaning of life. We're not here on this spinning ball to support business.
And I actually heard something today. A woman was saying that she's a big YouTuber. She said the person in front of the screen, so TV presenter, movie star, YouTuber, the face, they're not the ones getting super rich. It's the ones behind them. It's the management companies. The management companies.
So when you see Robert Downey Jr. making $75 million a movie, imagine how much the movie people are making behind the scenes.
And imagine the negotiations. And imagine the pie. Like, it isn't just Robert's making money, the director's making the money.
And everyone else is free.
It's like he's got an agent who probably has another person, probably has a personal assistant. Everybody's getting paid. It's quite remarkable. And one thing, actually, that Ethan has brought up several times. Ethan is our 17-year-old son. He is our oldest child. He was bringing up, and I totally forgot it. It's gone. If I just said Ethan and kept talking, I would have remembered.
We were talking about $75 million movie, The Pie, splitting up money, movies.
It's gone. I straight away started thinking about his wheat theory, and that's not what he was talking about.
Alzheimer's.
Sign me up! Oh, well, that'll be like a cliffhanger. We'll think about that for a long time, and if I ever remember...
2 a.m. Oh!
Clearly I don't have any neurotypical...
You are neuroatypical. Is that even a word?
It's going to drive me nuts.
Yes, the behind the scenes people making tons of money.
Oh!
Was he talking about some conspiracy?
Ethan was actually saying, through his observations, and we're Australian. This is no offense to Australians, and this sounds like a huge generalization, but he has noticed a real issue with many people, it's probably not just Australians, of jealousy. It doesn't present as jealousy. People don't go, I'm jealous. But if another person is hugely successful and their channel is growing and they've only ever done one video, or they do one video of slapping each other in the face with a tortilla with water in their mouths, PewDiePie, 111 million subscribers for really literally just being himself and not a brand or a faker.
It's Tall Poppy.
Yes! And they just want to beat people down.
Well, we think that they'll be affected by Tall Poppy syndrome, and so we have to knock them down a few rungs.
Yeah, you don't get too ahead of yourself, mate.
So we can't
Pipe
be
down.
happy for them. Whereas in America, that's what the country's built on.
The patriotism.
Making a life out of nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And being free. So they have that opposite mentality. The positive, like when they see someone do it, they're all like, good on you. Like, that's grouse. Like, when we see someone driving down the road in a Bentley, we think, what an idiot. Like, or even worse things.
I used to be very naive, though. If I saw someone driving in a Bentley...
Then in America, you get some guy on YouTube going, I love your car. What do you do for a living?
I used to think people could afford it. I didn't think anybody was faking. I'd see someone share holiday photos and be like, oh, they're so much better at budgeting and managing their money than I am. And one of my friends once said, it's all credit cards. And I'm like, what? Really? It's all fake?
Well, that house in Bourne that we're working on, the owner has told us about his neighbours. He's like, he's not really rich. It's all debt. It's like,
and why do they even have to say that?
Why does he need me to know that? I'm like some scum of the earth labourer.
But let's circle back around with my whole self-development thing. I realised that me being jealous or even feeling like an imposter, like, who are you, Katherine? Who cares that you have 10 kids and you're trying to make something? You're nothing. Those conversely thinking patterns of thinking, it's all fear-based. It's like we want to matter, but we don't actually believe that we do. So we're going to attack ourselves or other people. And the more I've truly just embraced living life, no sweat, bro.
10 kids, no sweat.
Happy life. It's like I'm exhaling. It's like I feel free. It doesn't mean I suddenly think I'm good looking or amazing or I'm super confident, but I really think it's contentment. I think you're more in the cushion of contentment and I'm climbing on to the corner, but...
So you're Jack and I'm Rose.
Oh, it's damn straight. It's a welcome relief to just do what you want to do. Just live life. And the lockdown taught me that, because during lockdown, I actually think I was struggling greatly mentally because this isn't right, but I've got no voice and I can't speak out because I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to cause problems. So I started doing those funny posts on Facebook. And it was so fun. There's a lot of funny people out there.
Received very well. Because everybody's thinking the same thing. They just want to release from this tyranny.
And people just
want
to...
a little post on Facebook that gave it to them.
Yeah, they just want to talk about real life. I've literally been stopped in public. Because one of my first posts was I was removing a tree stump on my own amongst homeschooling and having a newborn baby. Like, it was very random. People stopped me. I was stopped on 3 occasions where people said, you never told me if you got the tree stump out or not. Did you get it out? What happened? And I said, yeah, I got it out. And then I burnt it. It took 11 days
to burn
of a 24-hour fire. We are in a fire zone. It's okay.
And it was a fire season. As in, not fire season. You may burn.
No, it was permissible.
Yeah, it was all legit.
Well, I gave myself permission.
Because we're free, damn it.
To share real life things with people and to relate and not say to someone, how are you? And not even be listening. To actually genuinely caring about a person is what I strive every day to get back to that.
Well, think of the most popular fantasy genres. Like medieval, Western. It's not phones that we idolize. It's personal interactions. It's small town living. It's farming.
It's overcoming.
It's
obstacles.
Yeah. And
true love.
Little villages struggling along together. Helping each other out. Think of all those books you've read. The Lord of the Rings and all that. That's like a core we all have within us. And there's no phones. There's no tech.
But if I never got onto Facebook and on my phone, I wouldn't have shared that joy with people.
Yes, you should keep doing that. It's good. When you're back on Facebook to sell stuff, do that as well. And that's it.
Do you know what I thought of? I actually thought of just doing my ads on Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And offering someone... I don't know how it worked, because I was going to say, I'm only putting my ads on Marketplace from now on. I'm not putting them on the notice board or other groups. If you share my ads elsewhere, I'll give you 10% off. But that means that that person has to buy the item. So I don't know how that... Maybe I should get like a sticker making machine and I'll make them a sticker. I don't know. But it was half-baked. Quarter-baked idea. But that's the thing, is that I did end up getting haters.
Yeah, well, that's always going to happen.
Right? And one person reported me for bullying. And so I got a...
How dare you?
You know why I got reported?
Because you were bullying.
I said, don't be a bully boy to him.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that word, I
He
think,
was bullying.
flagged Facebook. And then all of a sudden, an investigation had been done in 12 seconds. And then I had the strike on my name. It was a grey day. A dark grey day.
Is that what turned you off? Is that what made you quit?
Okay, you're my husband. You know me fairly well. Would you say that I could receive 100 compliments and 1 criticism?
Well...
And that I'd focus on the 1 criticism?
Yes, we'll take, for instance, that post was probably 600, 700 likes strong.
Do you know what did it for me in the end?
And you listened to 1 comment.
Nah, what did it for me in the end that really crushed me and I felt so embarrassed by was when I made those Christmas stockings.
Mm.
So you were out of work and I made like 33 quilted Christmas stockings in like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It was just before Christmas. And Ben said, this is like handmade stuff. You know how much money people spend? Like especially rich people, put them up for 120. 120 each. I was going to put them up for 40. And I even thought that was stretching it.
Now that you say it, that sounds high.
Handmade, hand quilted. The fabrics were expensive. The batting in the middle, expensive.
Why don't you just
lined.
work out what it cost you and double it?
He says that now. So anyhow, we had a back and forth. And I ended up saying, I can't. And you're like 100 at least. And I ended up very timidly putting them up for $80. Mm-hmm. And I'd explained you were out of work and the whole bit. Immediately, someone said, don't you mean $8? That one comment, because it's far different if you're selling a mug from Kmart than if you're selling your handiwork, what you've actually made. And that I still remember because they said, don't you mean $8? And they got 8 likes. I was like, oh, it's 8. And then another person said, I agree, what a ripoff. The third person actually said, hold up, guys. She's explained her husband's out of work. She's made these herself. You don't know how much time they took. It's really expensive and difficult. Could you make it? And he vouched for me. So that's the example. I've got really 2 people said something and then like 12 people liked it. So they don't even count. But my mind is like, oh my goodness, like 20 people are saying I'm a stupid idiot. I deleted all the posts.
Have you still got the things?
And I've still got all the stockings. So that's kind of like my 2022 goal, is I'd really love to sell those stockings. I genuinely would love to do that. I actually think $30 or $40 is very reasonable because we've had our stockings now for over 10 years. So you think about it. You buy a stocking, you keep it for 10 years, and you only paid $30. That's super cheap. It's not a chocolate bar, which you eat in the car on the way home from the shops.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so it is funny how my brain works, and that's one welcome break that I had, is that now I see far more clearly that a comment and a like, dislike, anything online, it's whatever. It's nothing.
Well, you imagine Trump or some rich person, Musk, doing that at the beginning of their careers, they wouldn't be where they are today.
Yeah, by giving up.
Well, by letting other people control them, basically.
Yeah.
This is me and this is what I want and I'm going to go get it. That's what you don't have.
I'm a strong Murphy.
Damn the man. Save the empire.
Yeah. So I've learned that. And even sitting here now, like, I feel like I'm just being myself. And I know when I'm editing this, because Ben's too busy to edit, that I will probably smile fondly. I'll probably sort of smile fondly because I'm sitting here, I'm having a chat with you. We're just chatting away and chatting with our friends and hopefully our new friends because you're deciding to subscribe. And I like doing this. I like having conversations and I like digging deeper. And maybe that's also why social media has been emotional for me because I'm not just a double tap Instagram person. I got told that. Years ago, I got told by a girl that you have to, you have to like or double tap to acknowledge. Otherwise, it's just like being nosy. And I'm like, what? And they're like, and you really should comment. You can only ever comment in the positive. If you don't like it, do the angry face or a thumbs down, but don't say what you really think. And I'm like, what? Like I said, the only thing I lie about is when I say to people I'm 22 plus a few. It's mostly a joke. But what?
Well, let them have their misery.
Just be ourselves. And thank you. Shout out to Joe Rogan because the podcast that I listen to, obviously with no children present, man, he's just having a chat. He's just talking about stuff.
He doesn't care. And
sometimes digging deep into topics or talking about what's going on. And he's got Jamie to Google things for him. And obviously,
we can Google things.
An incredible memory as well, the things he remembers. And then Jordan Peterson. These people are out there saying sometimes some really contentious things.
But they shouldn't be.
No.
It's only contentious to the extreme people.
No, yeah. Oh, I love it because I don't agree with everything that Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan says.
No.
But
we don't agree with things that we believe.
Oh, I mean, you?
Yeah. Like, disagreement is a part of human life.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you...
It doesn't mean you wipe the person.
Or that you withhold yourself completely. Like, I tiptoed on the whole... My initial question was, why are we all wearing masks? That was my first question, right? I had people who I'd been friends with in real life. Real life. For 20 years. Done.
Because you wouldn't wear a mask?
They wouldn't even converse with me. I want a discussion. I actually never once said, don't wear a mask. Never. I always just said, can we have a dialogue? Can we chat about it? I'd love to hear. And you know what? A few shining examples of different people I spoke to came to me and said, actually, for this reason, yes, and this reason, no. And it was so refreshing.
But it shouldn't be refreshing. It should be just normal.
It used to just be, you only hear what you like. Anything that's against what you think...
And that weirdo that didn't want to talk to you because you weren't wearing a mask should be the not normal.
Yeah. And that, another weirdo actually said to me, I actually said, can someone explain to me why we're wearing masks if we live in an area that is currently untouched? I asked that question. And that particular person said, this is the strongest evidence I've ever seen that you're actually genuinely an unkind and selfish person.
They said that to you.
Because if you cared about people more than yourself, you'd put your damn mask on.
Who said that?
But, wow. And then it's, unfollow. It was typed publicly, and it was like unfollow block. So I haven't even got the single opportunity to clarify. And just quietly, the irony of it was at this stage, I was wearing a mask only because I was caring about other people.
Yeah.
It's very, and why is this kind of topic divisive?
Why is it taboo? You're not even allowed to talk about it.
No.
You just do what you're told.
Do what you're told, shut up.
Why is it when we all listen to Rage Against the Machine in our teens, are we all pansies now? Like, we all agreed with those songs when they came out. We all sung along with them. With passion in our hearts. Damn the man.
Save the empire.
And then when push comes to shove, we're all spineless.
And what is amazing is during lockdown, I probably manically finished off about 10 quilts. That's my coping mechanism. And I gave away a quilt to someone I'd never met. I just put a photo up of it and said, you can nominate whoever you want. I want to give a little bit of joy. The amount of people that commented that I was so generous, lovely, and amazing, and I'm reading these comments feeling like a fraud because I was at the beginning stages of actually learning how to practically be generous. You can sound generous with your mouth, but can you actually be generous when it comes to the crunch? And I didn't have a lot of money or resources. I was in lockdown, but I had this quilt that I could give away. And I've now given away 10 quilts.
Good.
I've sent quilts overseas. I've given them away. A very dear lady that I met online, I gave her a quilt. She has passed away. And she knew that she was going to pass away, and she messaged me and said, it just feels so wrong. I'm going to die. Why would you give a quilt to somebody who's going to die? And that's when I really felt like, yes, you give something with no rules. You give it to give love, to be kind. And I said to her, I decided to give you this quilt because I want you to feel loved. That's it. And she has given the quilt to her daughter, who messaged me and said, thank you. So.
And we should wrap this up because I'm fading.
Ben's fading fast. He worked today because he loves working 7 days a week.
No, I don't.
But yes, it's been lovely to have a chat. Thank you for watching or listening. And we haven't even discussed when we will be back. But we have learnt that you can think of 1,000,001 excuses not to do something, and sometimes just make a decision, even if it's on a Sunday afternoon. Book it in, set it up, do it.
Doesn't matter if it sucks, just do it.
Doesn't matter if you're wearing a Christmas shirt with hats on it and a dressing gown, or if you look really haggard.
Me!
No, you always look amazing. So, thank you for joining us. I've said it enough, but I hope to see you again soon. And just stay tuned for the next installment.
Yes.